materials, an incident which turned violent. And we break down for you the time frame for the legal proceedings for the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. We are anticipating the beginning and the commencement of the legal fireworks. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on China's television. I'm Sean Kimale in Abuja. Tonight, we will be going to River State. No one knew that this kind of situation will happen today. When yesterday we spoke with the Commissioner of Police, who had assured that they will do everything in their powers to ensure that there is peace, when the APC was requesting that the tribunal should be moved to Abuja. But today, it looks like things got to a head and violence erupted when there was a protest by the PDP members and some APC members who were led by Tony Cole went to the INEC office. But that's part of our conversation tonight. But we have a very senior lawyer on the program tonight that will be giving us perspectives on the Presidential Election Tribunal, the time frame, the legal proceedings, and what to expect. So much to talk about tonight. Just stick around with me, everyone. First, let's check out your political roundup stories.
Thank you, Sean. Good evening, everyone. I'm Victoria Longjan, and here are your political roundup stories for today. The leadership of the People's Democratic Party in Kaduna State insists that its governorship candidate, Isa Ashiru, was robbed of his victory at the March 18 governorship election and therefore will use every legal means to reclaim the victory. The state PDP chairman, Hassan Hiat, and the governorship candidate, Isa Ashiru, made the vow after meeting with the party's state and National Assembly members-elect to review the outcome of the elections.
We have worked tirelessly in the last 2 weeks to make sure that we fish out all the gray areas. We have concluded that yesterday, and we are preparing to file our papers at the tribunal. So we are confident.
The governor-elect in Cross River State, Mr. Basi Otu, has promised to keep all his campaign promises to move the state to a greater height. Senator Otu was speaking in Calabar, the Cross River State capital. Mr. Otu thanked the people of the state for coming out to vote for him in the last governorship election and promised to come up with more developmental policies to better the lives of the people of Cross River State.
I want to run an inclusive government that will have the APC, the PDP, the Labour, and all other parties.
A coalition of INEC-accredited election observers during the March 18, 2023 governorship election in Adamawa State are calling on the resident electoral commissioner to engage the political parties and their candidates and assure them of the commission's commitment to a credible, free and fair supplementary elections in Adamawa State. At a news conference in Yola, the state capital, the leader of the group, Mr. Victor Kalu, condemned the protests in Yola and Abuja, describing them as undemocratic elements whose aim is to destroy the process with a view to winning elections through the back door.
Mobilizing me, mobilizing my brother against me, or me against my brother in the name of I must win election, we must do away with that. We must take it that, yes, I am part of the society I want to govern. If it is not my turn today, tomorrow it may favor me.
The coalition of civil society organizations who monitor the elections in Abia State are asking the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to include Abia North Senatorial District in the list of places where rerun elections will take place on April 15, 2023, following the irregularities that characterized the elections in some areas of the Senatorial District where elections were cancelled. The civil society organizations reported mass disenfranchisement of voters in Arochukwu, Ohafia, and Isukwato local government areas with the alleged violation of electoral guidelines in the conduct of the elections, such as non-announcement of results by agents at the polling units. The national chairman of the Labour Party says the party has uncovered yet another plot by the opposition to destabilize the party following the rise in profile and acceptability of the party by Nigerians. Speaking during a solidarity visit by World Chairman of the party from Edo State in Abuja, Mr. Julius Abure says the party will not relent in its fight to reclaim its mandate in the 2023 presidential elections.
I foresee that they are being sent and sponsored by opposition political parties. And I don't want to mention the names of those parties here.
And from Imo State, the Labour Party has condemned what it termed alleged plot and called for the arrest of the Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi and his running mate Yusuf Dati Baba over some baseless propaganda by opposition parties. Addressing the press conference in Owerri, the Imo State capital, the national youth leader of the party, Kennedy Ahanotu, says any attempt to arrest Peter Obi and his running mate will amount to nothing. He says the Labour Party has the utmost confidence in the judiciary to regain their mandate. The Labour Party national youth leader also passed a vote of confidence on the national chairman of the party, Julius Abure, urging Nigerians to ignore any kind of selfish call for his suspension.
We, the Nigerian youth, demand that one, the various call for the arrest of Mr. Peter Obi and Dati Baba Ahmed should stop forcefully.
As Nigerians await the inauguration of a new administration on May 29, 2023, some civil society groups have expressed their satisfaction over the conduct of the general elections. Representatives of the civil society groups and the New Nigeria People's Party, who staged a peaceful demonstration at headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), rated the elections as free, fair and transparent. Votes must count international initiative, however, faulted the conduct of the 2023 general elections, claimed that INEC failed to live up to the expectations of Nigerians. Now, those are your political roundup stories. It's back to you, Sheung.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Victoria, for that, excuse me, for the political roundup. Yeah, let's get to Rivers State now, where things went a bit ugly today in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital. Supporters of the All Progressives Congress APC and the People's Democratic Party PDP clashed. Today, members of the PDP marched in protest to the office of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, located in the GRA area of Port Harcourt, while Tonya Cole, governorship candidate of the APC, had earlier arrived at the INEC office to inspect materials to be used for the election. That could be helpful for their case in the tribunal. The fracas reportedly broke out when the PDP members who were already at the INEC office insisted that both parties inspecting the material should be allowed to inspect the materials at the same time. The PDP members, led by Edison here, a deputy speaker of the Rivers House of Assembly, argued that a joint inspection would ensure that there is transparency in the process. But the situation degenerated into a fracas that led to gunshots and the reported injury of one person.
This one.
Well then, let's get some perspective tonight, because we'll be looking at basically what really happened and how things are getting ugly. The tribunal has not even started sitting, and this is happening. I'm being joined by the APC governorship candidate in Rivers State, Mr. Tonya Cole. He joins us live virtually from Port Harcourt. Thank you so much, Mr. Cole, for joining us tonight. With the incident of the weekend in the police station, and now this, What was really your agenda or your mission at the INEC office today?
You know, we had said yesterday and on Friday that time was running out for us to prepare our petition, and we needed the certified true copies, CTC, of all the documents that INEC used to conduct the election. Now, this is our legitimate right as a political party that conducted the elections. INEC is meant to have had all of this ready for us to have picked it up within 14 days of the declaration of the election. We're 14 days in, 7 days left. We have to prepare and present our petition at the very latest Friday so that we don't run out of time. And INEC has not, till now, given us a single CTC document. We then decided that we will, when we were there on Friday, INEC said we should come back today, being Monday, and we agreed that we'll be back on Monday to pick up the CTC documents, only for us to find the entire place barricaded by PDP protesters.
So were you able to interact with INEC officials today?
At all. So on getting to trying to approach the INEC office, we got to the Garrison roundabout, and the entire place was barricaded. They had put cars, they had stopped us from getting there, so we came down to walk. Now, as far as I was concerned, myself, my party chairman, the woman leader, the youth leader, and deputy governor, 5 of us, very recognized faces in APC Rivers, came down to walk to the INEC office so that we could demand what was rightfully ours. I did not get more than 10 meters away before we were assaulted, slapped, punched, shot at, missiles thrown at us, and my security force had to physically remove me from the place before more injuries were meted out on us.
So either by phone or physically, you said you couldn't reach or you were not able to get across to
that's correct.
The INEC officials.
That's correct.
Okay, so
I started calling the rec this morning. I called him, telling him that I was coming. There was no response. Finally, roundabout after the entire incident had unfolded and the everything had degenerated, I called the rec roundabout for 3:30 or 4 today. He then answered the phone to say that that we could, now that they are preparing the documents, they are trying to get everything ready, and that I should call him back tomorrow, I should give him some time. And I said, we don't have time. You have not responded to my calls the whole weekend. And today now, when everything has degenerated to this level, you begin to respond to my calls.
How many more days do you have?
We have to file by Friday.
So was it the same set of document that some of your lawyers who were said to have been arrested or who were invited by the police in the weekend are also preparing? Is it the same case? It is the same scenario?
Yes. Same scenario, same case, same documents.
What sense do you have right now based on the incidents of today and that of the weekend?
You know, it seems as if there is a calculated plot to prevent us from presenting a reasonable petition. So it's either we're being prevented from gaining access to CTC documents that we will need to build our case, or we are being prevented directly so that we can run out of time. Because both of them are tied together. First, our lawyers are arrested, our evidence, all the evidence that we're building is taken. We spend the whole day, Saturday and Sunday, trying to retrieve all of this. We retrieve it on Sunday. Monday morning, we have spent the whole day trying to get documents that we haven't gotten. Instead, we've been shot at, we've been harassed, we've been stoned, we've been wounded. So another day has gone. At what point are we going to then have time to prepare for the petition that we must submit?
So, I mean, gauging what is going on, INEC must, because it's not only at this point in Rivers State that we're saying a similar scenario. Don't forget that the political party had already gone to the INEC headquarters also for the Presidential Tribunal, trying to get a document and inspecting document. Do you sense that there is a preparation, or what are you hearing? I mean, you say you've not been able to reach Direct, but now you have been able to reach him. Are you getting the kind of cooperation that you need for your case from INEC?
No, we have not received the cooperation that I expect from INEC at all. I have no idea why INEC has been silent, why the REC refused to take my calls, when we are trying to find out exactly what is going on. I haven't been able to reach any official of INEC of reasonable office level to let us know what's going on. The last time I was at INEC office, and I resorted to start going to INEC office because my people were getting frustrated and nobody was responding to them. The last time I got to INEC office on Friday, we met a lowly officer at the legal department who told me that he does not know anything, he doesn't know what's going on, he cannot answer, that he has no power to respond. I said, you're in the legal department. Something must have been sent to your desk. At least let us know when we're going to have something. Nothing at all. So I have not received any cooperation whatsoever from INEC Rivers about anything.
So now, where do you go from here? There are a lot of issues that I'd like to raise. But, I mean, you say you need this document, you need this information to file your case, you're not getting the cooperation. What then are you going to do? You have between now and Friday to file your case. Do you have the adequate information that you need now? I guess not based on what you're saying, but where do you go from here?
No, we don't. So tomorrow, so now as a result of this, I have to fly to Abuja tomorrow and go to INEC headquarters tomorrow. Now, we had also written to INEC headquarters in Abuja requesting for some documents that should come from there. Again, those documents from INEC headquarters in Abuja haven't come out either. So tomorrow I have to go to INEC in Abuja and make a demand that every document must come out. The ones in Port Harcourt, the ones in Abuja, because we cannot go to the tribunal and tell the tribunal that we were unable to file or file reasonably because INEC delayed or we could not get the documents from INEC. It's not a cause that the tribunal listens to at all. And so we must get those documents. And INEC by legitimacy has the right to give it to us. It's part of their duty. I'm at a loss as to why INEC cannot meet this deadline.
So, but I mean, if it's by their duty to to provide this document and this information to you, and that is supposed to be done at the state level, what are you then going to do in Abuja at the headquarters of INEC?
First of all, I'm going to lay a complaint at the headquarters. I'm going to let them know that I have no idea why the state INEC has refused, for whatever reason, to release these documents. If everything was kosher, if there was no problem, if all the election went okay, if there's nothing to hide, then all of this material should have been released without any problem. It's a printing of material. Pull out you made the declaration. The declaration are on sheets that are in your possession. We're asking for the declaration of results and the CTC of those declarations presented. We're asking for the Beavers report. We're asking for the voters register. These are things that are legitimate to us. We're asking for your own copies, INEC copies of the EC8A forms and so many others. But these are already in your possession. If there's no hanky-panky, there's nothing fishy, they should have been released. Every day that it delays, it worries me that those documents, something is happening to those documents, and I don't know what.
So that's what you're sensing that is happening. But I mean, PDP says that they want an inspection, a joint inspection of the materials, of the election materials. Do you agree? Would you subscribe that they are able to also see what you're saying at the same time?
Whether we do a joint one, separate ones, I have no problem with that. But let's assume that PDP wanted a joint inspection. What they should have done would have been to reach me or reach the party chairman. We know the party chairman of PDP. He's not a hidden figure, Desmond Akawo. All he needed to do was pick up the phone, call me, or my party chairman, and say that we're going to go jointly to inspect it. And would have said yes. If the candidate Sim had called me, he's never called me, never spoken to me. But if he had called me as well to say that, you know what, let's do a joint inspection, it would not have been a problem. Now, let's assume that a joint inspection is what they said they wanted to do. The minute I got to approach INEC this morning, if it was a joint inspection they wanted, as soon as I got there, somebody would have said to me, great, you're here, let us go together so that we see what you see and all of that. Instead, I was welcomed with slaps, I was welcomed with punches, I was welcomed with a
Who was slapping you? Because I wonder how this degenerated in the first place. Yeah, I mean, so let's imagine the scenario, and I like the guys in the control room to punch the video of the protest of the PDP. So the PDP guys were already there before you arrived. They were protesting, they're carrying placards, and there you are, arriving at the scene. At what point did these altercation began?
Okay, so when I got to the scene, there was no placard, there was nobody there. There were just people sitting all over the place, no placards and all. But they were all over the place, sitting under the bridge, hanging on top of the bridge and everywhere. As soon as I got to the junction heading to INEC, they came out, someone who I recognize called Buchi comes out and stops and says, we'll embarrass you here, go back. And then somebody grabs my shirt and starts to push me. They grab the party chairman and push back that, we're going to embarrass you here, you cannot go back. And I was like, embarrass us for what? I'm not going anywhere. We're going to INEC. What have we got to do with you? The next thing, somebody hits me at the back of my head, go back, grabs my shirt from the back, pulls me back, and all of that. Then they start throwing water first, and then they start throwing bottles, then they start throwing stones, then they start shooting. All of this happening right at the foot of the bridge. Now, these are people who say that they want a joint inspection. I have come there, and there are 5 of us or thereabouts. Again, my party chairman, myself, deputy governor candidate, the woman leader, and the youth leader. We are not a mob. We have come coming down. We are walking. I really don't understand what the motive is.
Stay with me for a moment, Mr. Cole, because, I mean, we'll try to wrap our heads around what is happening and, of course, try to get all sides in all of this matter. We have also joining us virtually, although the Publicity Secretary of the PDP in Rivers State, Mr. Sinik Bara, who joins us from Port Harcourt. Thanks so much, Mr. Bara, for joining us tonight. Give us a sense of what really happened. I mean, your members and your of the PDP were at the INEC office today. What was the purpose? Why? What was the agenda of the PDP members at the INEC office today?
Yeah, thank you, Sheung. I carefully listened to the APC gubernatorial candidate trying to turn around everything that happens today. You see, I see him as a drowning man who is looking for ways to play to the gallery and to, bring chaos, crisis into the state. You see, today, the People's Democratic Party, we were at the INEC for a peaceful demonstration to drive home our demands to be jointly inspect sensitive materials or whatever it could be that were used in the previous election. And I heard him say that if we want to do that, we are supposed to call him. I wonder how PDP will want to take permission from Toye Cole when we have the electoral umpire, who are the ones who are in charge of the process. So we observed some sinister, arrangement between the APC and the INEC. And that was why we were there this morning to register our demands that we must have to be part of whatever inspection that will take place in the INEC. If you can see, we had lots of women, mostly women there. We had aged men and women there to a peaceful demonstration. None of us carried arms, but what we saw was that the APC gubernatorial candidate came there with thugs dressed in police uniform and came there and started trying to disperse us and force their way into the INEC. And we said, no, that cannot happen. We are here to register our demands. After all, since after the election, other political parties have been going to the INEC to register their demands by way of protest. We, the PDP, have not been there before to cause any problem or try to disrupt them or chase them away. Why is he coming there with armed thugs to come and chase us away? And before you know it, they started shooting at us. And you can imagine that he said he had gunshot, but the gunshot victim was a member of PDP that has been confirmed dead as I speak to you. So the gubernatorial candidate of APC is very much economical with the truth, and he's trying to subvert everything that happened this morning in Port Harcourt. You see, we have had a peaceful election, and we thought like for once, in Rivers State, we have had a peaceful election, and let us celebrate. Just on Sunday, we were in church for the Thanksgiving, for the peaceful election. Nobody was, no casualty, no incident. But to our greatest surprise today, Pastor Toyeko and his APC have come out to show that they are, a people who feel they have monopoly of violence. They can take life, they can act in any manner, without recourse, so that you are dealing with your fellow human beings. So, how can people who are having a peaceful
sorry,
protest?
Sydney, just for a minute. Let me jump in. So I'm imagining, I'm trying to, for sake of our viewers, to let's get a clearer perspective. So your folks, your members were already there. They were not exactly at the INEC office, but they were just a few meters away to the INEC office, the road adjacent to the INEC office. If the picture of that GRA area, if I can recall properly how that, there's a bridge, there's a junction which leads to the INEC office there, and your members were at some point on the side, and they were carrying their placards. Were you there yourself physically?
Yes, I was there.
So so you had Mr. Toyeko coming on the opposite side, because from his own account, he said he saw a blockade on the road leading to the INEC office. Is that right?
No, usually because of the electoral activity, the police always secure the parameters, around the INEC office. But that wouldn't stop any political party or anybody who have, peacefully wants to come and, make their demands to the INEC. We were only waiting to see if one of the INEC officials will come out, address us, and we'll make our demands, maybe give them our position, give them a letter or whatever, tell them our position, and then we leave peacefully. That was before, Toyeko came with the thugs dressed in, police uniform, and they started going after our members and started
just a moment,
shooting at us.
Before we get to that point, so I'm trying to get a signal so that we know how these events unfolded earlier today. So he was on the other side approaching INEC office. Your members, were they forming some kind of human barricade? Is that right?
We were at the INEC office. We were in front of the INEC office.
Okay, so he needed to go through the crowd of the PDP protesters, isn't it, before he can get to the INEC office? Because I'm imagining where the clash. If the roads were not, if you didn't have to have any bodily contact or human physical contact, there wouldn't be any clash. Is that right?
Of course.
So it was at a point where he wanted to go through your members to get to the INEC office. That was where the clash started. Is that right?
No, what actually happened was they came and they tried to disperse us with their armed men. They started shooting at us, and people scampered, and we have casualties. That's where the whole problem lies. And right now, one of our members who was shot has been confirmed dead. That's the position where we are now. And we are asking the Commissioner of Police, we are calling on the IG to wade into this incident immediately, and so that Toye Cole will be arrested and this incident properly investigated. So to serve as a deterrent to people who feel they are above the law.
Were you guys able to make contact with the INEC rec? I mean the PDP.
Yes, we were. We can't force our way into the INEC.
But either by telephone or by any means, was he aware that the PDP members are coming to the INEC office?
Of course, every other political party that goes there will not need to call the INEC rec. We will come there just like every other, protest happen, and the INEC officials will come out to address the people, and then the people will tell them what their concern is. And at that point, everybody will go home. They will now wait for INEC maybe to respond by way of action, to our demands.
Okay.
That is exactly what we went out there this morning, to do before Toye Cole arrived there with his armed men and started shooting at us.
So because the story Mr. Cole told us totally different. The attack, he said, came from your side. Now you're saying that, in fact, his men that came with him, you're accusing him of shooting at you. Well, I'd like to get Mr. Cole's response, but we have to take a break. And when we come back from break, we'll be getting some more insight on what really happened. Who fired the first shot? Was there any shot fired at all? Who beat who? What really happened? What is the way forward in this Rivers governorship election aftermath? Stay with me, everyone. We'll be right back shortly. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. We're keeping tabs on what is happening in Rivers State in the aftermath of the governorship election and awaiting the election tribunal, which is now generating controversy. There was an incident which went violent today, and there are reports that there might be some casualty and some victims who are being caught in that scenario that played out in front of INEC office today when PDP and APC members clashed. Mr. Toye Cole, the governorship candidate of the APC in Rivers State, has been speaking with us, and we have the PDP publicity secretary in Rivers State, Mr. Sidney Barra, who is also telling us the side of the PDP. Let me turn to Mr. Cole now and get him to react to what Mr. Barra said. And I'd like you to respond to what he said. First and foremost, he said, you came with some thugs. That's how he described those people who came with you. And he said that as soon as you were approaching, you were trying to disperse them by shooting at them. Is that right? Is that what you did?
Mr. Sidney is a fantastic storyteller, and he is able to create scenarios from his head that never existed. I've told you the people that I came with. My party chairman, woman leader, myself, deputy governor candidate, and youth leader. Very recognizable faces in APC. We were there to ask for CTC documents. I've never hidden it. I was there on Friday. We carried it live. I've never hidden my movement. So I came on Friday. It was carried. After that, we had a press conference. We said we came here to collect it, and we would come back on Monday. So we were very clear about it. Over the weekend, yesterday, after we finally got our documents out, we said, now we've gotten our documents back. We need the CTC documents, not the inspection of any material, not the inspection of any whatever it is that PDP said they wanted a joint inspection on. We said we wanted to collect certified true copies of our of documents that we are rightfully entitled to. That's all we said. And we told them we were coming back on Monday morning. And I said, I must leave INEC with my documents. If INEC does not give me the documents, I am prepared to sleep in INEC until it comes. I didn't hide it. So here I am going to collect my documents. And according to this fantastic story, I bring guns, shoot everybody, and then I don't stay there and shoot them all the way so that I can get into INEC office? For goodness sake. Now, beyond that, we then retreat to our office. At our office, PDP comes to the office, they attack our office, they shoot at our office, they destroy our office, they destroy cars, and then they go away. You know, my dear Sean, River State today was a show of shame, and the PDP shamed us big time. They claim they won a popular election. What are you protesting about if you won an election that was so popular? You claim that you are the only party in River State and no other party exists. Then what's the problem? I hear that there were women and children and old women and all of that who were there at INEC office. What are we afraid of? You know, I keep asking this question of the PDP. What are we afraid of? You've had the election. You are the acclaimed winner of the election. We that did not win the election are asking for material for us to collect. Now you want to watch it? Then you're claiming that we're in collusion with INEC and INEC colluded with us to lose an election. How does that make sense? You know, I heard so much today that just doesn't make sense. So no problem. So we are there colluding with INEC, and PDP is stopping us from going to collude with INEC to collect documents that are certified true copies that we need for an election. So PDP prevents us from collecting it. We have gotten there purportedly with thugs to collect something that we want to get. You know,
in all of these, Mr. Cole, where were the police?
Yes. Look, so first of all, and that's a great question, because the first aspect of it is that we're meant to have, if you are carrying out a peaceful protest, it means that you have police permission to do so, and the police will ensure that there is peace there. We got there, we did not see any police ensuring that there is peace. And then we left. But to my greatest surprise, in my party office, the policemen that came with the PDP police were the same policemen that effected the arrest of our lawyers. The same policemen. And they're the ones that came with the Ikwere local government chairman and the deputy speaker of the River State House of Assembly. They're the ones that came and attacked our office. I saw the policeman there, and I asked him, I said, what are you doing here? Come and speak to me. He refused to speak to me. So I have no idea what is going on.
You claim that they attacked your office, your APC office. So
yes,
do you have police protection for your party office?
So we called the CP, we called the army, we called as many people as we could when they were attacking us. We started from the only police protection that we had are my personal police protection and my personal DSS. Those are the only ones that went with us, and the party chairman's personal police protection. They're the ones that were with us at INEC, and they're the ones that came back. I heard him saying that we had dogs dressed as policemen. These are our own personal policemen, but fair enough. So we get back to the party office, and those are the only policemen that are standing there. The ones that come with PDP are people who effected an arrest of our lawyers on Saturday. The same guys. I recognize them because I was with the police the whole weekend. The one who was leading that team, I called him. I said, what are you doing here? Come and speak to me since you have come to the office. He claims that he was the one protecting, that he was stopping the PDP people from coming to attack us. I said, come and speak to us. He refused. The next minute, they break through the police cordon, come and attack our office. They destroy our flags, burn our flags, throw stones into our office, shoot outside the office. We are recording all of this live. But we are the ones that have gone out there to attack PDP, according to my fantastic storyteller.
All right, Mr. Barra, how do you then react to what has been said? Because, I mean, you've seen the clarification that's been made by Mr. Cole. What's your response?
Well, it's quite, it's quite funny. But the point I want to clearly make here is this: Mr. Toye Cole, apart from being a governorship candidate, is a pastor. That's what he claims, that he's a pastor. And as a clergy, he should be an advocate of peace. And therefore, anything that will lead to breakdown of law and order, he should be able to sense it, both as a highly spirited man, and to avoid it. Now, as a pastor and a clergy who is supposed to be an advocate of peace, in the first place, you came to the INEC and you saw people were already there. But you moved into the crowd with your armed men and ordered them to shoot at unarmed protesters. Shehu, you can see the picture of those who were at the protest. They were women. We were dancing. We were dancing and singing praises to God at that place before he came. Now, he said he never came with any armed men. Will it be a PDP man who will shoot at a fellow PDP man, the one that is a victim today? He has clearly told us that he said he is running out of time. Technically, shows that he is desperate. And when a man is desperate, he is out to do anything whatsoever. He started his narrative by explaining that he is running out of time. So because he's running out of time, he can kill anybody that he feels is standing on his way. What is that Pastor Toye Cole wanted to do in INEC today? Haven't seen that the PDP were there that will not allow PDP to go, and then he will come tomorrow morning to do it. What is that thing? If he didn't come there with the intention to come and demonstrate the animal in him, we the PDP we have always been in
kind of let's be watchful with the kind of language and the words that we use against each other. I mean, we will not allow the use of extreme use of words or language against. We need to be civil with the use of words.
It's okay, but the points I'm trying to make here is this: that Toye Cole, being a clergy, a pastor that he is, said he came to the INEC. And if I were in his shoes, ordinarily, when I get there and see that another political party is there in a peaceful protest, I can say, okay, let me leave, call it off, and then come the next day, and then to do whatever, that I have to do. But he started his narrative by letting us know that he was running out of time, technically telling us that he is now desperate.
All right.
And that he will crush anybody he sees on his way. So,
Mr. Gbara,
acting out of desperation, apparently.
There is no need
and that is why when he came to the INEC today and saw the PDP people, they are having a peaceful demonstration, he felt the best thing he would do is to use brute force to disperse the PDP members so that he can have his way into the INEC to do whatever he had to do. And today we have lost a life. It's unfortunate that this is the kind of system, we run here. We, the PDP, like I wanted to say, had always been on the receiving end since 2019. Shane, you know the story, how the APC had always perpetrated the continuous killing of PDP members. Over 46 youths were killed in Abonima, Akogotoro local government in 2019. A lecturer, Dr. Ferry Berigbe, was killed in his prime in Kana local government. I was there, I saw it, myself, and several other local governments. So it's not a new thing. This is a stock in trade. There are people who I don't know how to quantify this. Hearing him giving a reverse narrative from everything that happened this morning is coming as a rude shock to me.
So, Mr. Gbara,
this is politics.
Let's bring this home.
And people will always.
So, can you hear me, Mr. Gbara? Because we need to bring this conversation. Just for a moment, I'd like to get your final thought, Mr. Gbara. And I don't think it makes any sense for anyone to shed any blood or for anyone to be killed for the sake of any election. Nothing is worth the blood of anyone. Nobody should lose their lives in any scenario about any election. Now, let me get your final thought in going forward. What would you suggest? Because you also, your party says you want an inspection of the materials alongside with what the APC, whatever they say, you want to also see it. What is the way forward? You are not able to see it today. As INEC responded to you, what exactly is the way forward from the PDP's point of view? Can you? I don't know. There seems to be some frozen frames there. Let me go to Mr. Tonyoko then. Mr. Tonyoko, I'd like you to respond and give me your final thought. And like I said earlier to Sydney, until that glitch happened, it doesn't make sense for anybody to. Okay, are you back?
Go after Tonyoko, arrest him and charge him for murder, and institute a proper investigation into what transpired at the INEC today. I think that will pacify us a great deal. And we will know that, yes, we are in a democracy.
Sydney, sorry.
We are in a society that has law and
we seem to have lost some part of your... Just a moment, Sydney.
We be protected by the Nigerian police.
Mr. Gbara,
yes, sir.
We lost you at some point, and we couldn't get most part of your earlier earlier statement. So if you can roll back just a few seconds more so that we can understand what is your final thought tonight. Oh dear, it's gotten the pictures are frozen from Mr. Gbara's side. So I'll bring back Mr. Tonyoko. Mr. Tonyoko, please, you can go ahead.
Well, what I can say at the end of the day is that every single time this happens, PDP tries to push the blame on us, and a time will come when the truth will be revealed, and the time is now. The truth is that PDP is afraid, PDP is desperate, PDP wants to stop us from gaining access to legitimate information that will show that they hijacked and rigged this election. Everything they have done is orchestrated towards stopping us from gaining access to materials that will prove that they are not on ground at all. They didn't win this election legitimately. As far as I'm concerned, I will continue to pursue what is right. I will continue to pursue justice, and I will continue to pursue that the truth be told. I will shine a light on River State. PDP cannot hide. I will shine this light, and the light will expose who they are and who they truly are. And Mr. Sydney today has just proven to me exactly who they are. Fantastic storytellers that continue to try to hide the truth. The truth will come out. One day, that truth will come out. And believe me, that day is now.
Because, Mr. Cole, he mentioned the case of a dead person. We cannot confirm.
Like I said, it's a fantastic story.
So, and he said that he's asking for your arrest in respect of that. How do you respond to that?
Shimon, I have no fear about anything, none. This is, again, their own fabrication. We didn't shoot anybody. If they shot their own member, that's for them to do. I have no iota of truth in that statement, none. But that's for them again. Every single time there's a protest, they do this all the time. They come, they shoot, they claim that somebody has been killed, they claim that they should be arrested, that APC is the one that has shot. You know, repeat every story. You will see every time that this is their mode, is the way they operate. But that's fine. We're used to it. What I've said this time around is that the truth will prevail. All we went for is our CTC. Tomorrow, we are going to ask for our CTC again. And the next day, we will ask for it. And all of Nigeria must understand that if elections happen, there is a process to it, and everybody must follow the process.
Mr. Tonyoko, thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. I don't know if Mr. Gbara is back. If you are, please go ahead and quickly make your final submission. I don't think he is. You're muted if you can unmute.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so like I earlier said, we as a party, we are calling on the arrest of Tonyoko by Nigerian police, and for them to, launch a very serious investigation into what transpired today. Because after the election, several other political parties have been to the INEC to, have their peaceful protests, and this has not happened. So that it will not discourage people. We have 18 political parties who contested. Every other person have a right to, express their grievances and express themselves. Our position still stands that, we are going to have joint inspection with the APC and every political parties whenever that is going to be done by the INEC, because we already is suspecting a sinister arrangement between Toyokul and the INEC. This is why we are taking this position, and we remain at that position, and we are still going to continue to drive home our point. No intimidation, no amount of intimidation, will deter us.
All right.
We are GDI members, we are PDP members, we are people who have fought our way into power, and God being on our side. So we are not going to be intimidated, allow ourselves to be intimidated. We will continue to push on and have our grounds, peacefully. We will continue to do that peacefully, I can assure you that.
Right. Sydney Bara, Publicity Secretary of the PDP in Rivers State. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's tweak this now and look at what perhaps some of us don't know and what we should be expecting, because, the elections are over in terms of, I'm referring to the presidential election now, and we're seeing a declaration of the winner, Bola Tinubu of the APC, and Kashim Shettima, now the vice president-elect. So what do we expect from now, especially for those who are aggrieved about the process, the conduct of the election and the outcome? They've gone to court. Several political parties are challenging the outcome. But, we're hearing stories of the constitution of the Presidential Election Tribunal. We are hoping that there will be an official release and statement on those who will make up the panel, the tribunal panel, for that presidential election petition. What days should they file? If they file, how long will this take? When should we be able to get a judgment? If there is a judgment, can they go to a Supreme Court? If they go to Supreme Court, how many days are allowed? When can we finally get a total and final determination at the court on this matter? Let's get some legal perspective onto this. I'm being joined by a very senior lawyer, senior advocate of Nigeria, Kaude Adeoluola. Thank you so much, Leonard Sik, for joining us again. And indeed, we are delighted that you can be able to join us to shed light on this. So I tried to paint a picture.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. It's good to see you again. I tried to paint a picture and I drew a timeline of the litigation time frame. And if we can put it on the screen so our viewers can get a sense of what we mean. And correct me if I'm wrong in my diagram, let us see. But this is what I interpreted the process to be. So there is the instant of the day of election, which I assume that is the day on which, by law, the petitioner time start to count. Is that right, Mr. Adeoluola? So the days that they have before the day they file, and of course, how many days the tribunal has to make its position and give its judgment. And before the appeal window. So please go ahead and help us out with the explanation on this. Let us say.
Let you know that the tribunal. Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Right. So, as I was saying, that the tribunal is made up of judges, made up of judges of the High Court or cadis of the Sharia Court of Appeal, judges of the customary courts, or a chief magistrate. And each state has the tribunal for the National Assembly or the State House of Assembly. And for the presidential election, which I'm sure is what you're most concerned about, the court jurisdiction to take that election petition for the presidential election. 21 days is given to the petitioner from the date the election result is declared. That is when the winner is announced. So they have 21 days within which to file their petition. That's correct. And once they have filed the petition, they must serve the petition on the respondent personally. That could take a few days. Sometimes it may require the petitioner to file an application for substituted service. If, for example, they are unable to reach the respondents personally, they could bring an application for substitute service. That could take a few days. And once the petition has been served on the respondent, well, the president-elect, he's got also 21 days to respond. Once he has responded by filing his own reply, which is by way of a defense, and he serves it on the petitioner then has 5 days within which to file a further reply if new facts have been raised by the respondent in his reply. Once that has been done, it then becomes the responsibility of the petitioner to file the TF form seeking the order of the election tribunal for pre-hearing sessions. Of course, if it fails to do that, then the respondent is allowed to do that just to quicken the pace. Once that has been done, the tribunal then sits at a pre-hearing session, where they take different issues. How long is this each witness going to take? The documents that need no argument about. They also agree on the order in which witnesses will be taken, and various things such as that, to ensure that there is a smooth sail of the hearing of the petition. Don't forget, the tribunal, or the Court of Appeal as it is in this case, has 180 days within which to deliver its judgment. Once the pre-hearing session has been taken, then the parties are ready to go on to trial. But don't forget also that once the petition is concluded, evidence taken, documents tendered, then the tribunal gives judgment. If the tribunal then gives judgment and one party or the other is unhappy, he can then proceed to the Supreme Court as it is in this case, the case of the presidential election. And curiously, the Supreme Court has only 60 days within which to deliver its judgment from the date the decision is given at the lower courts. And so those are the timelines.
Fantastic.
Sure.
It does look like, Leonard Sick, I'm very right with the picture that we painted there, which basically helped in when you are describing the journey from the day of the declaration of the winner of the election to the day of filing, 180 days to determine the judgment by the tribunal. They have a 14 days appeal window, and the Supreme Court, if there is an appeal to the Supreme Court, because now we understand, a lot of people perhaps may not know that the presidential election petition emanates or begins at the appeal court. So that is the court of first instance in this tribunal, isn't it? Am I right?
That's correct.
All right. So the Supreme Court has 60 days.
The Court of Appeal has the... Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yes, the Court of Appeal has the original jurisdiction to take the presidential election petitions.
Yeah. So when
I must add also in a situation, and I must also add, if you like, just 1 minute, if there are if there's more than one petition, if there's more than one petition regarding the outcome of the same election, such as the one we have at the election, we have a petition from the first runner-up, and we have another petition from the second runner-up. Those two petitions can be taken and can be consolidated and taken together by the Court of Appeal.
So there's so much more to talk about. So if anyone is aggrieved from the position of the election petition, presidential election petition tribunal, they can go to the Supreme Court. 60 days is when the Supreme Court has to determine and come out with its position and judgment on that case. But we take a break, and when we come back, the learned senior advocate is still with us, and he's going to be shedding more light on the charges that are being taken to court, the issues that have been raised, what the expectations of Nigerians should be, and perhaps for those who are asking that process should be televised. I'd like to know what the senior lawyer thinks about these and what Nigerians should be looking ahead to, whether or not this time around the petition or the proceedings will be more exciting than we've seen in the past. So with me, everyone, we'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Mr. Kaode Adeluola, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, has been speaking with us on the program, and we've been looking at the processes and the proceedings in a presidential election petition tribunal, and of which one that has since commenced the process, because we've seen the different parties have gone to court challenging the emergence of Bola Tinubu as the winner of the presidential election of 2023. So what should we be expecting as citizens of Nigeria? The Nigerian Bar Association sought that the Court of Appeal, the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, should televise or allow for the live telecast of the process and the proceedings in the court. Would that be allowed? If that happens, how much of transparency can we see in the process? Let's get back to the senior lawyer to give us some more insight into this. So before we went on that break, I was asking you, 60 days is what the Supreme Court has, the window for which to determine. So in all of this, it looks to me that we have nothing less than about 230 days. Is that right? If you look at the calculation of all of these days,
let's put it.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's put it this way. We have 180 days for the Court of First Instance, and we have 60 days for the Court of Appeal. That puts us 240 days. That's in total about 8 months, actually. So let's put it in perspective. We're talking about 8 months within which to have the petition taken and the appeal also concluded.
So if I look at my calendar and from what you just said, the election was determined in February. That's about 27th of February or thereabout. So March, April, May, June, July, August, September, and October. So sometimes around end of October, early November, we should be having a total, a tone of finality on the process. Is that right?
That is correct.
So in this sense,
that's correct.
For what we're saying so far now, how has the process been up until now? I'd like to get your view on what has gone wrong. Is there any mistake in the process? Is there anything that has been missing so far? Or has the process gone smooth based on what the law requires?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, the petitions have been served on the respondents. The president-elect has been served. INEC has also been served. And so what we expect now is for the respondents to serve their reply to the petition within 21 days. If they're able to do that within 21 days from the date they were served, not from the date the petitions were filed. 21 days from when they were served, I don't know when they were served, but 21 days from when they were served, they're expected to file their own reply. And once they have filed their reply, if the petitioners, that is Mr. Peter Obi or Alhaji Atiku, has any reason to file a further reply, they have 5 days within which to do that. And that is after that, then the pre-session commences. The pre-hearing sessions will then commence. Well, going to what you asked regarding live coverage of the hearing, that will be quite interesting but I think would require how do I put it? The direction of the President of the Court of Appeal to determine whether that should be done or not. Ordinarily, all that the rules require is that the hearing should be done in public, and public should be where people can have access. But in this situation we're talking about, for the benefit of everyone who wants to witness it, I think a recording may be made and then played on your stations later on in the evening. That's what I think may happen if we actually want that to go on.
So I sense what the Constitution is a constitutional provision, isn't it? That the court, the provision that courts proceedings are supposed to be public, but there are no distinct position of the law on whether a proceeding can be televised, because that's going to be in the remit of the court, isn't it? Court is now going to determine whether or not it will allow. But what we have seen in the past, Daniel Sik, is that court, as soon as the judges walk into walk into the courtroom, television cameras are not allowed. You can take pictures before and after, but as soon as the judges walk into the courtroom, you then are not allowed. But what if we remember what happened in the Oputa panel? That was televised. It was allowed. Television cameras picked whatever the Justice Oputa led panel, who was the proceedings at the time. But in this sense, what does the rule of the Court of Appeal say in this regard?
That's why the rules just require that hearings should be done in open court and accessible to the public. But then again, as I said, the President of the Court of Appeal can give practice in which these procedures can be televised, I believe, because if you recall, during the COVID period, we had situations where hearing was done in some courts via Zoom. And so if that was allowed, it is not unlikely that this can also be accommodated in the hearing of the election petitions. That's my view.
So what does it entail then? Because the identity, it does look like, because in other climes, take for example, we've seen proceedings in like manner in Kenya. We saw the proceedings on television, and we saw a similar scenario playing out in South Africa. Why is it that televising a court process or proceeding is not a commonplace?
Well, Sheila, let me put it this way. Things just have to be tested to determine whether they are allowed or not. The rules of court do not specifically say that court proceedings should be held in open court or televised. But then again, practice directions can allow for some of these things to be accommodated. It's not unlikely that we have a situation where it should become a standing rule or part of our rules of court, allowing proceedings to be televised. For example, people who are incarcerated or in custody should be able to give their testimony from the prison if it becomes necessary. Otherwise, you could also find situations where witnesses are unable to come to court, and their testimony becomes very crucial to the determination of the matter. An election petition is not one that involves children who are usually shielded from public view. It's not one that requires that there should be some secrecy about it. So really and truly, in the modernity that we are facing and technological age that we are also facing, I do not, in my candid opinion, see anything wrong with the practice direction saying that the election petition, hearing should be done on television or televised in such a way that those who are unable to attend court can then watch later on. Because don't forget, the lawyers who are going to be appearing themselves are quite numerous, such that by the time they all take their seats, members of the public and journalists may have only a few seats to occupy. So it might just be nice to see a situation where proper direction is given and things are done lawfully, not arbitrarily and without proper backing of the law.
Let's take a quick break, Lionel's sake. And when we come back, we'll be getting your final thought on how these proceedings should go, what are the standard practice procedure that we should be expecting, and whether or not Nigerians should be excited of what we expect in terms of transparency and in the manner in which the court will operate this time around. Is there anything different this time around compared to 2019, and what exactly has changed since then? So stay with me, everyone. We'll be right back in a moment.
Simply log on to channelstv.com, click on podcast, select the program of your choice, and listen. Our podcast is available on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Tap the expertise you trust. Touch the stories that touch you. Anytime, anywhere.
So much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. Mr. Kaode Adeluola, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, is still with us on the program tonight. So let's look at it. What do you think should be exciting Nigerians about this process? For those who are, I know there are supporters of one side and there are other supporters of the other side. What exactly should we be anticipating when the courtrooms are open for the arguments?
Let me put it this way. For members of the public, they want to hear the facts. They want to hear what happened. They want to know what witnesses are going to say. The witnesses already have filed the witness statements on oath. In other words, whatever the witnesses are coming to say will be written and signed by them and sworn to on oath and presented to the tribunal. In other words, these witnesses will not be required to give long testimony by way of examination in chief. But each one of them will be cross-examined by the lawyers of the opponent. Now that will be quite interesting because once you have the cross-examination, it's with the intent to destabilize the witness, to show that the witness is not credible, and to show that the evidence the witness has just given is not to be trusted and should not be regarded by the courts. So you're going to find a situation where people are anxious about if there are certain facts. I'll give you an example. In the petition filed by Mr. Peter Obi, one of the grounds alleged is that Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president-elect, had some involvement with narcotics in the United States of America. A lot of Nigerians are going to be excited about that. They want to listen to what the court will have to say about that. But then again, they must not forget that the court will then be required to determine what the law says concerning such a situation. That is what the court will then be determining at the end of the case in course of giving its judgment. But let us not be too anxious now, because the respondents are yet to file their reply. When they file their reply, we'll then have a balanced view. We'll see what the petition is, We'll see what the respondents have said concerning the petition, and that will form an interesting scenario, which, in the manner of speaking, I'll advise all Nigerians to get their popcorn and a drink, sit by and watch the proceedings.
That's going to be
because
interesting indeed.
A lot of things,
yeah.
a lot of things that we do not, I think is going to be quite interesting. And I think these petitions will elicit more interest than the petitions we had ever before. A lot of people are going to want to see what the court is going to say about whether indeed and in truth there was rigging and there was no rigging, and whether those facts are going to be put before the tribunal. If the facts are put before the tribunal, what will the reply of the respondents say to demonstrate to us that indeed and in truth those things happened or they never did? So the witnesses are going to be very useful. The documents also are going to be very useful. And these are things that are going to be brought in the open. And so everyone has a responsibility as a Nigerian not to wait only for the final outcome.
Yeah. So I was going to ask quickly, because we're out of time now, are there scenarios where the candidates will be required to take the stand at some point in the proceeding? Do we have that kind of scenario playing out?
Well, it depends on the choice of the solicitors representing them. If they think that the evidence of the candidate is important, they may, but it's not likely. It's not likely because you then ask yourself, why would the candidate be put in the witness box?
Yeah, because I mean, when
he needs the evidence.
You were talking about one of the charges of one of the
various
political
stations. He was only at one polling station.
Yeah, the reason why I'm asking,
he needs the evidence of those who have documents, who can tender these documents.
All right. I mean, I was saying that when you talked about some charges that didn't have to do with the election proper, the conduct of the election, that has to do with one of the candidates before the election, whether or not there will be a scenario to say take the stand on that kind of matter. That was why I'm asking. Could that kind of scenario play out?
Now, I'll just give you a quick answer to that. Whether a candidate was properly nominated or not is a documentary issue. His nomination form or his letter of withdrawal will suffice. And don't forget, INEC is also a party to the petition.
All right.
So they were also there at the hearing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time tonight. Lenisik, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Kayode Adeluola, thank you so much for helping us out with some of these issues. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
But also our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm sure Kimbalwe. Bye-bye.